Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome back to some more Endless Scrap Mechanic. In today's video, we are going to be taking on a challenge, and that is trying to build from one side of the map all the way to the other as fast as possible. So I got this idea from a recent build that I made. It's a machine that can build roads and bridges automatically. Now the problem with it is a little slow, so I wanted to try and push the limits of the vacuum pumps and how fast they can build. Alright, so we're going to get started right here. This looks like a nice flat spot that has no grass whatsoever. So one of the problems with vacuum pumps is that they are relatively slow. They can only spit out a block every so often. So we're gonna have to come up with a solution that is going to shoot blocks out faster. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is creating a spinning mechanism. So this spinning mechanism is hopefully going to cycle through the vacuum pumps, and that way they'll kind of get a little bit of a cooldown moment. So what I'm going to set up first is just like a basic test foundation for some type of spinning mechanism, just to get an idea of how many pumps we're going to need to reach that maximum efficiency. So here's kind of what I have set up at the moment. So I've got a vacuum pump with the chest attached to it, of course, for the blocks, and I have it all set up on a single bearing at the moment, and I'm gonna hook up this electric motor there. So the idea is that I'm gonna be able to spin these pumps and activate them maybe with like a sensor. And so the idea, I guess, is that it's gonna shoot a block out every single time it reaches a certain point there. So I'm gonna set up like a sensor setup here, and then we'll probably do some testing on that. So I suppose that I have to decide at which point in the cycle the block is going to get placed, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to extend it from the spinning section right there at the center, and maybe what I'll do is kind of have a marker here with a sensor in front of each one. And so I guess we're going to test to see, once this sensor activates, is there going to be much of a delay in a block getting placed, or will it place that block on this line here? So I'm going to paint this white here. We're going to take this sensor and we are going to turn the color mode on, and it's going to be set to white like so. And I guess we'll just extend the length. It doesn't really matter too much because it's looking for that color. And then we'll just keep it on button there. And we're going to hook up this sensor to the vacuum pump. And then we're going to throw in a whole bunch of metal into the chest. And so I guess what I need to do is I need to set up a little section for it to put some blocks on. And then eventually we will decide some type of starting position for this thing. So why don't I just put some type of giant piece of concrete here? I guess we'll just make sure it's tall enough so that it's going to have enough room no matter what. Okay, there we go. So the sensor is hooked up to the vacuum pump, and I believe we should probably check to see, just to make sure that the vacuum pump is in the right direction. Yes, it is. So here we go. Test. It put the block down. Very successful test here. Okay, so it seems like the spinning mechanism works. Now, if we increase the speed, well, I don't want to increase the speed. It's not welded to the ground right now, but look at that. Okay, so it put the block in the exact same spot. That's really good. So it seems like this setup does work. And so that was obviously just one vacuum pump going pretty slow. So why don't we just check to see what it's like if it's going even faster. Okay, hold on. We gotta weld it. Now, at the moment, I'm welding this for testing purposes, but once it's actually working, the plan is, of course, to have it as a moving vehicle so we can move it through the world and extend those building positions. So we're gonna do another test here where we are gonna increase the speed. We're gonna make it go faster and faster. And of course, this is still with the single vacuum pump. So here we go. Let's just put it right up there. Block. So that's pretty fast. Okay, so we're getting some misses though. This is interesting. You can see that it placed a couple blocks down first, and now, okay, see, it missed another one. Now, that might just be because it is spinning a little too fast, and so I think we might be able to really dial in a good speed where it keeps putting blocks down very consistently. But it's going to be cycling through a whole bunch of these anyway. So I'm just going to try another test here, though. I just want to find a speed that is way more consistent. So we're going to work our way up. And at the moment, I think this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom here. So 4 from the bottom seems to be extremely reliable. It's putting that block down every single time in the exact same spot. So we're going to reset that. And we're going to just put it up by 1 here. And I guess we're just going to cycle through the speed of the electric motor just to get an idea of where the ideal speed is. Okay, so this one looks like it's still performing really well. So we're going to add another notch on the motor. And there we go. So now we see that this is where the speed is going a little too fast for the signal to get sent through. So it looks like this is a really ideal speed here, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the bottom. So now the next step, of course, is to set up 3 more vacuum pumps. Now, I have an idea for adding even more vacuum pumps if it's necessary, but I'm thinking 4. I mean, it might be enough, but hey, maybe it's not. Alright, so it seems like everything is set up. All I need to do now is connect the sensors to the new vacuum pumps, just like so. All of the chests have metal, and I now have a switch on the motor here, so we can preset this to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like so. So this is going to be a 4-pump test, and I'm thinking this should be fast enough, but I guess we'll find out. So here we go. Ooh, yeah. Well, that's faster. Now that we have more vacuum pumps, though, I want to test the increased speed just to see if there is still a problem, or maybe it's more balanced now. So maybe it was a balance issue. Okay, no, it's definitely not a balance issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and fit in another set of vacuum pumps here. Now, I think what I might be able to do is use these wedge pieces, because I don't want to put the these new vacuum pumps on a bearing or on pistons or anything like that, because as the creation spins, it's going relatively fast, and that might cause some problems with those bearings becoming loose. Alright, so this is what I kind of came up with. Now, I still don't know if this is going to work or not, so we're going to do some testing together. Now, I guess we're gonna need to pop this down on the ground and weld it, of course. So this is, of course, for testing. We're not gonna go at full speed right now. I'm gonna go nice and slow, and that is because I just really want to watch and see if these diagonal ones are going to put the block down in the right spot. Are they gonna see it, and are they lined up properly in like a circle? And I mean, this looks pretty good, so I hope it performs just as well. So here we go. Okay, uh-oh, I think I might not have set the sensor. Oh, wait, no, I didn't hook them up. Okay, here we go. Now they're properly set up, and we can do the test. So that was a normal one. And the diagonal one. Oh, the diagonal one was in the right spot. It just looks like it's 1 block off, doesn't it? Oh, wow, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna break these little pieces off just like so, and I'm going to add another section here. And so hopefully what this is going to do is it's going to increase the length just enough so that these are now going to put the block down in the perfect spot. All right, everything should be good now. We're gonna see, are these all going to line up in the right spot? Let's check this out at the lowest speed here. Okay, first block, second block, the next block. Yes. They're lining up. Wait, why didn't this one get placed? Am I missing something here? Either way, that's working. Now, I just want to back this up. I guess I'm really close to the wall, and we do have room to go back like 16 blocks, so we might as well just kind of create a little bit more space here. And I'm noticing that some of the pumps aren't firing, so I'm gonna have to look into that. So everything seems to be connected and looks like it should be working just fine, so I guess we're just gonna do another test here from farther back, and I'm gonna try and identify any of the pumps that don't work. Okay, there we go. Everything's working. That one went. That one's didn't. Okay, wait, stop. You there, what's wrong with you? So I noticed some issues with the rotation. I was turning the engine all the way up to max, and it was going really slow. So what I ended up doing was I created a little reinforcement bar in the back here, and that also has a connection point to the electric motor as well. And that is, of course, so I can double the speed power. So now this thing is actually able to gain some speed, and maybe it might make it more accurate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this entire section here. We're going to get rid of those metal blocks because we know this is where they want to place. So I'm thinking maybe I might be able to just get away with extending it like this and then pretending like it's the start, because if there's nothing for the block to go and get placed on, then that means it should be able to just keep cycling and maybe get it right the next time. So here we go. We are going to test it with just the blocks that it would be working with otherwise. Okay, there it goes. It's placing now. So every now and then, a vacuum pump doesn't work, which is very strange, but it seems like it's placing very successfully, and obviously, like I said, it can't put a block down if there's nothing to put the block down on, and I think that that might be a huge benefit. So now we're gonna try this at a much faster speed. We're gonna go to the 5 that we were at before. Now, I think this is gonna be a little too fast, but hey, it's worth a shot. Let's see what happens here. Okay. It looks like it is not doing it fast enough. Now, I wonder if I give it more space to put a block down, do you think it's gonna put it down somewhere higher up? It is! So maybe what I need to do is I need to increase the height here of this little section, and maybe this is the new spot that I'm gonna be aiming for. So let's try it out just a little bit higher here. Yeah, so it's really weird that I'm getting some of them failing for no apparent reason at all. Okay, so I've been doing some extensive testing, and I have duplicated what I had and mirrored it on the other side and adjusted the rotations so that we can have double action. So I'm thinking what I might do is create like a 2-track system that this thing rides on and builds upon itself so that it can go across from one side of the map to the other. Now, at this point, though, this is what we have so far. When I activate the switch, you can see it starts placing blocks down. Now, obviously, you can kind of tell that there are some issues there with where they're placing, but obviously we're going to be switching that over so that it is only trying to place the blocks directly on it. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to create like a starting position build so that basically what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to just weld this initial part to the ground and then set up the builder alongside it. And then what you'll do is just kind of start running on a track system. So I've got the height marked right there. Let's just do a quick little test to make sure it will be placing the blocks there. Yeah, okay, it's looking pretty good. And man, this is actually building pretty fast now. So the first thing I'm going to add for this kind of like starting position is, of course, the wheels. Now, I need to know how high off of the ground this is going to be so I can make the beginning frame in the right spot. Now, it looks like this is going pretty good right here for the wheels. And then the idea is that we'll have a starting spot that this machine will clamp onto so that you can pretty much just kind of go in a straight line no matter what. Because I'm imagining that a straight line is going to be pretty important for this. So here's where I have it at the moment. So currently I have some caution blocks here, and the idea is that we will be welding this section here to the ground, and I have a bearing that separates the main machine from the beginning mount there. So basically we're going to remove the caution blocks, which should free the entire vehicle, and it shouldn't get welded to the ground, obviously, well, because we have the wheels and also a bearing of separation, and we will create a track system here for the machine to slide on. Now, as for the sliding, I'm going to be using some of these square mesh blocks here. They have some very low friction, which is very ideal for kind of grabbing onto things, but being able to slide along them as well. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to have the clamps come in from the inside and grab onto them that way, as opposed to trying to get them from the outside, because this is kind of like where all the spinning stuff is happening, whereas on the inside, this will hopefully be a little calmer. So I suppose what I should do is actually just build straight up as much as I can here to go straight to the rail. So I've got these extensions going all the way up along the initial rail, so I guess from here what I can do is just kind of go, I guess, right next to the rail there, right at the beginning. We're gonna go there, and then we're gonna grab those mesh blocks, and here's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna create like not like a huge amount of blocks or anything along it here, but just something, even just something like this, something to keep it grabbing onto. I might opt for going like all the way around and encasing the rail, but I suppose what we could do at the beginning here is just start and test. Alright, so I've got the track set up here with the braces. Now I suppose I should just test to see whether or not I can weld this and then have it separate from the rest of the build. So I've got this saved on the lift so I can just do the full-on weld. So right now, yeah, everything is considered part of the welded ground, but if I remove these caution blocks right here, like so, I guess we'll go in that direction. There we go. Break those off. And now, okay, yeah, perfect. Look at this. So we now have this, which is part of the ground, and then now we also have the vehicle that should be ready to start placing blocks. So I'm gonna put a seat down. We're gonna hook it up to the switch right there. And I guess I'm just gonna turn this on and see what happens here. And I mean, I guess we're gonna see whether or not this is gonna start putting blocks down. And then that will give us the next step, which is, of course, moving the vehicle. So here we go. Let's test this thing out. Okay, it's spinning. It's not putting any blocks down. Okay, so I see I made a huge mistake. I have this all set up one block too low, so I gotta redo this. Okay, there we go. So I moved the rail up by one block. That was, well, that was an easy thing to fix. Now, hopefully, though, this thing is gonna be working. So I'm gonna get this welded to the ground, and we're gonna be able to test this thing out. All right, here we go. We're gonna test this out, see if we're gonna get some blocks downrange. Here we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. That is working now. So now I need to decide how I'm going to move this entire vehicle along this track. So I suppose we are going to want to use another electric motor here, and I'm going to put one on either side just for like some general weight balance. So hopefully we'll be able to just use like a sensor, and the sensor will just tell the thing to move forward. But what I might do though is kind of like confirm both sides. So what I can do is I'm going to put a sensor right here on either side of the rail that's being placed down, and we're going to check the distance here. That's 3. So we'll just go to 4 just to be 100% safe. Now, like I mentioned, I want this to run only when both sides are confirmed to have reached the like desired length. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick a logic block down. We're going to hook up both of these sensors to that logic gate. So we're going to have it just set right here to all of the linked triggers are active, which just means that both of these sensors need to be turned on before the drive motor will kick in. And now this is the speed at which we're going to be traveling from one side of the map to the other. So it's probably ideal if we can set this to a relatively fast speed, because I think it would be really cool if this thing can pretty much just never stop moving. But I guess we're just going to test out this speed right here, and we're going to see what we get. So let's start building. Okay, there we go. The left side is already caught up. Okay, here it's going. Wow, so the left side is just so fast, and okay, I can see now. Oh, wow. Okay, there are some major problems here. We're getting blocks on the side. So this looks like it's working pretty well, but the same issue is still happening, and that is that I'm getting a lot of these vacuum pumps that just are not registering to send a block out. We keep getting the red X on some of them, and I don't know why. Now, I'm gonna try one more thing to maybe fix the issue here with these vacuum pumps not firing, because at the moment this thing is working extremely well. It's building pretty fast. Just the only problem is it could be building even faster. So I now have this thing working really as good as it can be, I think. I don't think there's anything I can do about these vacuum pumps not triggering. I've tried so many different solutions, and for some reason I'm assuming that the game is just coded in a way that it can't handle too many of them happening, maybe. Now, I'm gonna clear this out though, and I am going to spawn in a new one, because it seems like they work really well for the first few moments, and then all of a sudden it's like the vacuum pumps just stop responding. So let's get a brand new one here. Now, I think this might be the current version here. Like I said, I've tried so many different things to make it pump them out faster, and I feel like we're kind of reaching the limit of how fast we can pump things in this game. So here we go, though. This is like pretty much the initial setup. You weld it to the ground, you break the caution blocks, and then you just turn it on. Now, I think we might see this run really smoothly for those first few moments, and then after that, we're gonna see it kind of just start stalling out. So here we go. It starts spinning, and look at this. look at how fast those first initial blocks get placed. And so now you can see we are moving at a really steady pace. Now I can probably increase the motor here a little bit faster. And so now we're getting really steady, high-speed block building. It's looking pretty good. But eventually, it's gonna probably just start stalling out. Now, okay, we're moving at a pretty decent pace at the moment here. And I guess the idea is that I want it to build faster than it's moving, so that way it's always keeping up with the movement. Now, okay, this is the smoothest it's done this whole time. This is working surprisingly well, and here we go, this is it. You can start to see that it gets into this cycle where it seems like it can really only just kind of place one block down at a time, and then look at this, you start getting these weird side blocks, which doesn't really make all that much sense, but you can just tell that there's a certain amount of that like consistency in the block placement that just starts going all out of whack. And as you can see, look, it's starting to get worse and worse. Now, if you guys have any suggestions for making this build more consistent, then definitely let me know down in the comments, because my original goal was to build from one side of the map to the other, but I mean, the vacuum pumps just don't seem to be giving me the reliability that I need to do it as quick as I want to. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. Again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I think this is a really interesting concept, being able to use the vacuum pumps on like a high-speed motor, trying to get the most output as possible. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video or the build, then let me know by hitting that like button. And if you want to tune in for some more Endless Scrap Mechanic, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and maybe even turn on some notifications so you get the latest and the craziest coming from me in Scrap Mechanic. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you in the next one, so bye for now.